Now, can you still remember how different was the diving industry at that time?
Uh, Lynn mentioned earlier what industry, right? So yes. Oh, quick disclaimer. I'm not one of the pioneers, but I was around them when they were doing this thing, and there was no industry. It wasn't called a travel industry. It wasn't called the dive industry. It was just a lot of people coming in here to learn how to dive, to go diving, to explore, and it has evolved into an industry later on. And I think it changed in a way of, number one, service. The service has changed dramatically. It's so good now. And amenities. There's so many things available to divers now, resort wise, liveaboard wise, that were not available back in the day. When it comes to cameras, wow, that's a totally different story there.
Yeah, there wasn't really much of an industry when I first started being involved in scuba diving. I remember there was one dive shop in Makati, um, or might have been, and then eventually it became two. But I think that one of the first ones was, I remember Bun's dive shop very much. Going there with my dad, and I just loved to go, and it was almost like a kiosk when you think about it now, right? Of the kind of stuff that they had available. Um, and then as far as liveaboards go, the first liveaboard I ever went on was the Sequest, and that was a wooden liveaboard, and it went to Apple Reef. That was pretty much like that was almost like the frontier for liveaboard diving. Eventually, in '83, I did my first tubata on a steel boat called Lady of the Sea, and that, I think, at that time, that was considered like that was luxury for the Philippines because it had a steel hull, right? And it also um, and I also remember what it cost, because my dad was like, "Hey, this is a very expensive trip. This is it's 4,000 pesos. So I hope you enjoy it, and really be thankful for it." I think I was in first year high school when we did that. So, and Anilao had what, two resorts maybe, at the time when I first started going there in the late '70s, and there was Diamond 1000, there was Club Safari, and maybe one or two other ones at the most, right? And it was and the roads were rough to get there. A lot of exploration, a lot of industry here in the Philippines is pretty much world class, right? Back then it was a lot more YOLO and cowboy.
Now, how about you, Lynn? Especially in your case, you've been around other places prior to diving in the Philippines.
Well, when I got to Anilao in '75, there were no resorts. Um, and the roads were so bad that people did not vote for Marcos, so he didn't fix the roads. So you automatically had a flat tire or something going there, and it was really rough to get there. And I ended up the first couple of years, 12 Chinese guys had a long building that's now part of Eagle Point, and the buildings collapsed. And I stayed there for a couple of years. And then my friend Lolita said, "I think you're going to like Dive 7000 better." And I loved it. And my friends used to say it was made out of placemats. But just a little aside, Cathedral is a totally transplanted reef. When I got there, it was two barren rocks with a couple pieces of black coral. And we would go out and get big gorgonians and sponges and anemones, and we transplanted that reef completely. The other thing is, to the west of Dive 7000, that reef used to be 10 feet deep, because I remember coming in and decompressing in 10 feet in the sand there. And now it goes down to 40 feet. So it's really flourished. My first trip to Tubataha was in 1978. We chartered two boats, and within 6 weeks after that trip, one burned and the other one sank. So that was the state of the industry at that time. And, we didn't know any better. Hey, we survived. It was fun. It was gorgeous, and it was great. We had a great time.
Wow! for our viewers in the show, it's like reading the history of Philippine diving, isn't it?